It's a new world I see. It's a new world for me. The tears have rolled off my cheek, and fear disappears every time you speak. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sunday with Ally for 2013. It's Sunday, January 6th, 2013, and it's actually our anniversary. This is the 1-year anniversary of Sunday with Ally, the Barbra Streisand Videocast. Of course, we didn't call it the Barbra Streisand Videocast when we started. We didn't call it Sunday with Ally when we started. We just called it the Barbra Streisand Webcast, and it was kind of an experiment to see how it would go. Well, look at it. A year later, I'm still here, you're still here, and there's a lot more of you watching now than on that very first broadcast. So that's a good thing, as Martha Stewart would say. Anyway, welcome to this week's installment, and let me start by wishing everybody a Happy New Year. I had a very quiet New Year. In fact, the big news for me was the party last Saturday, which was the 29th, when I got together with my friends in South Florida. And that was more of our actual Happy New Year party, birthday party for Jason and me, than it was on New Year's Eve night when, to be honest with you, my husband and I, we've become such old fogies. We were actually in bed by 11. Didn't even stay up to watch the ball back. My favorite New Year's memory, though, was definitely New Year's Eve 1993 in Las Vegas with Barbra. Certainly New Year's Eve 1999, or was it 2000? The Timeless one was also a blast. But my husband wasn't with me for that one. So I have to reserve. And anyway, 93 was so amazing because it was the first time I had seen Barbra live. And that was an amazing New Year's Eve. I mean, I remember being in Las Vegas, and I didn't actually go to the New Year's Eve show. I went to the New Year's Day show. So on New Year's Eve, we went to the MGM Grand and watched people coming out after the show to get their reaction and to see how they liked it. And of course, everybody was like beaming, and there were stars, and it was amazing. And then we somehow managed to make it back to our hotel. I don't know how, because there were no cabs to be had on the Hollywood, on the Las Vegas Strip. But somehow we made it back. And as I was in the casino playing video poker, and my husband was sitting at the bar smoking a cigar, and I was with other friends, including Karen Swenson, and we were hanging out, and the television was on, and they showed The Tonight Show, and there was Barbra on The Tonight Show. They had the opening number from her show. So I actually got to see the opening number from the 93 concert on The Tonight Show, just like everybody else. And then on New Year's Day, I got to see it live. But that was a really great New Year's. I'll never forget that New Year's. Very, very memorable. But anyway, let's talk. Let's catch up on the news, shall we? I have a scoop, folks. It's a big scoop for our friends in France. Marilyn has contacted me and some other fans worried about when the Guilt Trip was going to open in Paris or in France, because apparently there had been a date posted and then they pulled it back. So Marilyn actually contacted me, and she was very concerned that they were not going to open the Guilt Trip in France. Well, that didn't sound logical to me. And I did some research, and I did some snooping around, and I found out that it is definitely going to open in France, probably in May. What they are doing right now is they are scoping out the best possible release date. But Paramount has paid a premium to distribute the movie in France. So have no fear. It will be opening in France. All my French friends, the What's Up Doc group, my friend Chris in Paris, everybody who I met at the book signing, all of my friends, my mon amis, don't worry. The movie will be opening in your country and you will get to see it. It's just a matter of time. Now, for my friends in Australia, you only have to wait a few more weeks because on January 24th, the Guilt Trip will be opening in Australia. And as a matter of fact, they released a poster, a slightly different poster for the Guilt Trip for Australia. And I printed out a copy of it so I could show you. That's the Australian poster. Now, as you can see, this image is different. This one here, well, actually here, is slightly different of Ben and Joyce. This was a subway poster, which I had heard was rejected, and I guess they didn't get the memo. And of course, that's the Grand Canyon shot. So, pretty nice little, Barbra poster for our friends down under. And I hope you guys run out and see the movie because gosh knows, the movie amongst fans here in America has been getting very, very good notices. And it's even, collecting, I'd say 50-50 good reviews. Unfortunately, the box office has been very, very weak. Now, I, in all my wisdom, cannot explain this. I don't think I get it. I don't really understand the marketing plan. I don't understand why this film tested well but hasn't played well. Even Parental Guidance, another comedy, and This Is 40, another comedy, they've done marginally better than the Guilt Trip. Now, maybe the Guilt Trip is going to find its audience overseas and do better there. Maybe it won't. Maybe it's just, destined to be what it is, which is only going to be a modest hit and not a blockbuster. Maybe we shouldn't even call it a hit. Maybe we should just say it's going to be a very nice movie that Barbra made and in which she delivered a brilliantly, beautifully nuanced, excellent performance that probably deserves more attention than it's getting. And if that's the case, so be it. We move on. As Sondheim wrote, we do not belong together. We have to move on. Just keep moving on. That's Barbra. Barbra keeps moving on. And I can guarantee you guys that that's exactly what she's doing. She's working on the next project. We know she's been writing her memoirs. We know she's been working on the duets album. We know she's been working on the 12 DVD set. We know she's been working on preparing to direct Skinny and Cat. And we know for certain that she has been working on Gypsy. Now, I have read some stuff online from some very negative fans, I'm not naming names, who are certain that the Guilt Trip flopping, or whatever you choose to call it, means that Barbra will lose her chance to do Gypsy. No, that's not the way it works. See, they've been working on Gypsy for over a year, and the financing is already in place. The studio is already behind it, and if anything, the success of Les Mis probably is bolstering the idea of doing a Streisand musical. Now, you can say what you want about Barbra's, box office success, but I challenge you guys, because if you're only as good as your last movie, okay, then Barbra's only as good as The Guilt Trip. But the film before that, which was a much worse film, is Little Fockers, which made $300 million in international box office. And the film before that, Meet the Fockers, made $500 million. So you look at that, and those numbers, even if Barbra was in one movie for 10 minutes and the other movie for half an hour, they bolster her status as somebody that people want to see. Now, for whatever reason, Guilt Trip is underperforming, not just for Barbra, but for Anne Fletcher, who's had a history in Hollywood of producing very, very profitable films. Maybe they're picking up some of the stuff from Seth. Seth Rogen's last few films have not been particularly successful. So maybe this pairing, when they made it, seemed like potential box office, but maybe after, The Green Hornet and 50-50 and some of other Seth's movies, maybe that diminished the box office. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just putting it out there that it's not all on Barbra's shoulders. And I don't believe for a second that she's going to be held accountable to the extent that she's going to lose the opportunity to do Gypsy. If she wants to do Gypsy, and I believe she does, she's going to do Gypsy. Now, I wondered if you guys this past week, or if you haven't seen it yet, maybe you'll want to tune in when it's shown in your area. PBS is showing a documentary about the Broadway musical and the influence of Jewish artists and composers on the Broadway musical theater. And it's fascinating, really, really well done, very, very interesting. Irving Berlin, Rogerson Hammerstein, the Gershwins, Jerome Kern, Yip Harburg, Harold Arlen, Sheldon Harnick, the list goes on and on and on. All of these guys, all of these people, Dorothy Fields, Betty Comden, Adolph Green, Leonard Bernstein, all these people that worked in the Broadway musical, almost all of them were Jewish. Oh, I left out Lerner and Lowe. And then Jerry Herman. And so many of these songs and scores were written by Jewish entertainers and a lot of times performed by Jewish entertainers. Now, there was a sequence in there where they talked about Fanny Brice and Funny Girl, and they showed Fanny, and then they showed Barbra. And of course, we have no footage of Barbra we only have that, home movie footage of Barbra from Funny Girl. So they showed clips from Funny Girl, the movie. But what I found very interesting was how many songs that they pulled out from other Broadway shows that Barbra has sung. For example, Somewhere, Can't Help Loving That Man, Send in the Clowns, Some People, Make Believe. The list goes on and on. Hello, Dolly. All these songs that are well-known Broadway hits have all been covered by Barbra Streisand. Barbra Streisand is one of the greatest ambassadors for the Broadway musical around the world. And you know what? She only made 2 Broadway musicals in her lifetime on Broadway. She did, of course, do Hello, Dolly and On a Clear Day and Carry On the Legacy. And when she does Gypsy, that'll be yet another feather in her cap. The point is, watch this documentary and you will see how Barbra's carrying on a great tradition. And of course, Fiddler on the Roof talks about the fact that all of it is about tradition. Anyway, another big news this week, which is somewhat Barbra related, HBO announced that they have finalized the deal with Ryan Murphy and he is going to direct The Normal Heart for HBO. So Larry Kramer will finally get the Normal Heart on film, and it's going to be shown not in movie theaters but on HBO. Now you will recall, and I know you will, Barbra tried to make this very, very same deal with Larry over 10 years ago because she thought HBO was the right way to go too, and that it would be a wonderful way to get the story out there and get it finished and get it presented to the public. But Larry Kramer was extremely stubborn, recalcitrant, and he wanted more money than HBO wanted to pay him. I don't know that he got more money now, but he's, I guess, at a point in his life where he wants this done and he's willing to accept HBO. So Ryan Murphy will direct it. Barbra has nothing to do with this. I'm sure she'll be tuning in and watching it, and I'm sure she wishes them well because Barbra has a very good heart. And she will wish them nothing but the best. Because say what you will about how she disagreed with Larry, her fights with Larry, who was right, who was wrong. Barbra always loved the Normal Heart, and she'll be happy that they're getting it done. So that's the Normal Heart story. Now, on New Year's Eve day, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Turner Classic Movies here in America was showing two Barbra movies. They showed Funny Girl and they showed Hello Dolly. And being a good little Barbra fan, I couldn't help but tune in a little bit, even though I have them on DVD and go and watch them whenever I want. And a couple of thoughts occurred to me, and I thought I'd share them with you. First, when I was watching Funny Girl, I could not get over how amazing the Don't Rain on My Parade number is. I mean, do you realize that number is not very long? It's it's about 4 minutes, but it goes and it goes and it drives and it builds, and it's just the most amazing feat to watch her go from the train station in Baltimore onto the train, into the car, onto the docks, onto the tugboat, out to catch Nick Arnstein on the Bering area. It's a brilliant number, brilliantly staged by Herb Ross and directed by Willie Wyler. I'm sure they worked together on it. I'm sure Barbra had some influence in there as well. And it holds up. I mean, I think it might be, in some ways, one of the greatest musical numbers ever put on film. Now, granted, you can't compare it to a great musical number like Gene Kelly and Singing in the Rain, or, you know, Fred Astaire dancing on the ceiling in Royal Wedding. Those are dance numbers. Or West Side Story, the opening of West Side Story with the amazing dancing, right? You can't compare a singing number to a dance number. But for cinematic quality and for being able to move the story along, to go from point A to point B, and to do it in a musical way, and to do it so swiftly and with such drive and passion and brilliantly cinematic. That's what Don't Rain on My Parade is. And I just was blown away by it. And I thought, this was one thought that occurred to me when I was aside from admiring the brilliance. That incredible shot of Barbra on the bow of the tugboat, holding up the flowers and saying, "Nobody, no, nobody is gonna rain on my parade." Okay, great number. Barbra, Statue of Liberty, parallel, amazing image. If they were shooting that today, would they still go out with a helicopter and shoot a real tugboat in New York Harbor and the real Statue of Liberty? Or would they do it on a green screen with a CGI effect, and we'd pretend that she was facing out and that the Statue of Liberty was behind her? I don't know. I remember reading about how they filmed that, and it was a hot July day, and Barbra was wearing this beautiful Irene Sharaff outfit, but it was a winter outfit, remember, guys? You know, she's got a fur, and it was wool, and it was hot, and the flowers had thorns, and Barbra kept getting the thorns in her fingers, and she was miserable as far as, you know, the technical aspects of shooting that number, but she was also determined to get it done right. And the quality pays off, because that's still the most amazing number. The other thing that occurred to me later on in the day when I was watching Hello Dolly was the fact that nowadays, if they did do Hello Dolly, they wouldn't need to hire every extra in Hollywood like they did for the big parade number. But that was then. That's how they did it then. It was 1967 when they filmed it, 1968 when they filmed it, and they hired every extra in Hollywood and had them march in a parade right down the 20th Century lot, where they rebuilt the entire New York City in the 1890s to make it look realistic. That's where all the money went. That's where the $20 million budget was. It was all there. But the other point that I wanted to make about Dolly is when you watch Dolly now, you don't even notice that Barbara, oh, excuse me, you don't even notice that Barbara is so much younger than Walter Matthau. You don't even notice it. They made such a big stink about it at the time that Barbara was too young for the role. Now when you watch the movie, you don't even think about that. All you think about is the fact that, why is Dolly throwing her life away on this cranky old man? Dolly's better than that. But, and nobody could sing that song, those songs better than Barbara. It was just amazing. And I loved her in the scene, in the eating scene, where Barbara goes, you go your way and I'll go mine. Hilarious. Hilarious. She's talking a mile a minute. I can't imagine anybody doing it as well as she did. So that's what's going on with watching Barbara on television. Now, let me check my list. An interesting point, Adam Lambert, who came in second on season 8 of American Idol, criticized Les Miserables for the live singing. And his point was that while the live singing in Les Mis was spontaneous, he thought that they needed to sweeten up the vocals by going into the studio. Now, Barbara has done live singing a few times, but the difference is, when Barbara did the live singing in something like Star is Born, the With One More Look at You number, and at the end of Funny Girl with My Man, in both those instances, Barbara's vocals didn't need sweetening up. You could see where with Les Mis, they might have needed to sweeten them up a little bit. Because while Hugh Jackman is an excellent Broadway singer, Anne Hathaway's not, and neither is Russell Crowe. So you can understand where Adam's criticism came from. I will reserve judgment on Les Mis because I haven't seen it yet. So I'm going to hold off. Finally, let me check the list here. Did I miss anything? No, I think I've actually covered everything, guys, and I'm at 22:20. So we're in good shape. Now, I want to apologize for the fact that these videos are not staying in sync. I've actually tried a new system, and I cannot figure out why it's falling out of sync. But whatever the case is, enjoy the audio. I also wanted to point out, give you a couple of other things to talk about. This is the new issue of All About Barbara. Thank you very much to Lynn and Stephen for sending it to me. I got the gilt chip on the back. And this is a really, really nice issue. They always do a beautiful job with All About Barbara. And they're actually running a contest now. Jason Gould autographed three of his CDs. So if you go to their website, you could register to possibly win one of the CDs. I also want to encourage you guys to please go to the nothingsimpossible-project.blogspot.com. Still looking for any help that you guys can offer me with my financial burden as far as my medical costs. It's not going away, guys. I wish it was. Maybe a year from now, I can tell you that thanks to Obamacare, all these onerous bills will not be bothering me. Hopefully I'm alive a year from now. I know I say that facetiously, but I'm being totally serious here, guys. I thank you so much for your prayers and your care, and I do hope that I live to do many, many more Sundays with Ally. I do. Finally, I want to, I'm past 24. Finally, before I say goodbye, one more time, you could still buy Between the Grooves at eBay and also at the book, I can't even remember the name of it, the Book Patch. There we are. You can also buy Barbara Memories at thebookpatch.com. There we go. Okay, thank you, Barbara. By the way, I hope everybody who was in Barbara Memories bought a copy. I'm working on the souvenir edition. Here's the first mock-up of the souvenir edition. I'm changing the cover somewhat, but you can see I will be sending this out as soon as I finalize it. But at least I got this far, guys. I was a little bit over optimistic when I originally ran my Kickstarter thing, thinking that I'd be able to get everything done by October. Well, it turns out that I did get the book done, and I did get it to Barbara by October, but all the other stuff was a lot more tedious. So please forgive me if I'm a little late getting around to everything. But I will, and I promise that I will fulfill every obligation on Kickstarter, and just, give me patience, and I promise you, books are going out this week. So, on that note, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Say goodbye. I talk too much. I've already got almost to 26 minutes. So until next week, I will be keeping up with all the Barbra news. Hopefully I'm staying in sync. And I will talk to you guys next week, hopefully with some more big news. Good news for the French fans. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.